Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see here or our website. Reach out to me directly, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. And today we're discussing the 2018 to present Breitling Superocean Heritage Chronograph 2. The Superocean Heritage Chronograph 2, 44mm in stainless steel, is a glorious panda-dial diving chronograph with the legendary Ocean Classic mesh bracelet. Now, the timepiece is substantial, though surprisingly wearable. It's actually only about 42mm at the case, and if you measure the bezel side to side, it's only 43.8mm, so don't think of this quite as a 44. It wears a bit more compact. The watch is 15.5mm thick by 54.4mm lug-to-lug with a 22mm spacing between the lugs. Let's throw it on my wrist, 16 centimeters in circumference. It's a big watch. You can see it's the actual lug span that gives it most of its wrist presence, as the timepiece doesn't seem inordinately large in actual diameter. I'd say it wears more like a 42, with the exception of the lug profiles, which vintage-inspired and remarkably straight do flare to the edge of the wrist, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend this watch for a wrist smaller than 15 centimeters circumference. It's substantial, though. You feel that for which you've paid. Some watches just feel like money, and this is an example, largely due to the Stabe manufactured mesh bracelet. Stabe is a major German-based manufacturer of mesh bracelets in Europe, and you can see their work right here. Chainmail-like, completely seamless, without a gap visible between the individual links. Nevertheless, it feels more like a piece of silk than mail of chain. It is very comfortable, with a vintage-inspired straight bar junction to the case, and as you can see, surprisingly straightforward to size. The removable links are held in by screws, so as you would with any conventional well-made watch, you can remove individual links to size the bracelet. You also have a few divots drilled inside the clasp, so you can re-anchor the bracelet inside the clasp body. All of high polish, single fold. There is a locking clamshell mechanism to keep that clasp shut on your wrist. This is easily the most attractive and comfortable of Breitling's bracelets, and I highly recommend that if you're considering a Superocean Heritage, you consider this Ocean Classic bracelet. A few notes about the case. It's strong and simple. It's inspired by the late 1950s, early 1960s Breitling dive watches. If you can imagine the case of the 1004, it's very much like that. It's all of high polish, the lugs are sharply broken out, and you can see the bezel is a captive design. There's also a nice feature right here where the bezel actually sinks below the crest of the lugs, so the lugs don't get cropped off and the watch isn't excessively thick. See those little screws in the bezel? That's a lot like what Zinn does. If you want to build a very tough bezel, use screws to fix it in place instead of snapping it into place. This is called a captive bezel, and unlike Rolex and Omega, for example, you can't accidentally snap the bezel off. 120 clicks, ceramic insert for scratch resistance. Let's hear it against the microphone. Easy to place with 120 clicks. You line up the luminescent pearl with the broadsword style minute hand. Now you have a 0 to 60 minute count up timer that can be used in tandem with the chronograph, and because the chronograph register only goes up to 30 minutes, it is nice to have both. The timepiece has a high grade panda style dial with applique indices, which are rhodium plated steel and diamond polished. You'll note they have a continuously rounded top and then faceted ends, so the detailing is excellent. There's also a sunburst that runs over sunken registers, each of which has a polished chaptering. The registers are of matte black for a handsome contrast, and then you've got a date where it doesn't crop any of the indices or crop any of the registers down at 4:30. Applique Breitling B, no more wings. Breitling wants you to think of it as the land, sea, and air sports brand, not necessarily aviation all the time. Note there is a luminescent index outboard of each of the applique. We will have a loom shot. Screw down crown, vintage inspired pump style pushers. The watch is 200 meters water resistant, and underneath the case back, one of the innovations of the Georges Kern era is that most in-house caliber Breitling watches do have display backs. Rare under the Schneiders, it is now fairly common when you're getting the B01 movement. Here we have B01, 47 joules, automatic winding, 3-day power reserve, 70 hours to be precise. It beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It is adjusted in 5 positions, and it is a COSC certified Swiss chronometer. The watch features a column wheel for cycling through its chronograph functions. It's a great looking movement. The column wheel is crisp, has exemplary feel, as good as Rolex's own caliber 4130 and the Daytona, and there is a vertical clutch system for the chronograph, so it starts without stagger, stops without jump, and resets precisely the index at 60. It also allows you to run the chronograph full time if you prefer to have the chrono seconds running full time. There is a hacking seconds function, and there is a quick set date, so this watch is absolutely flush with modern features. This is a special edition, though not a limited edition, Panda Dial Superocean Heritage Chronograph 2 B01. Email tmosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And we're back with the Superocean Heritage Chronograph 2 B01. Plenty of luminescent bezel as well.